Elections and the future of the peace process with Mustafa Barghouti here in New York, Yossi Klein Halevi, and Mr. Perry from Washington. Mr. Perry, is there not a problem here within Israel? That is, if the Israeli Arabs get more radicalized, if Lieberman approaches this with a highly confrontational way, they are, after all, 20% of the Israeli population. Many demographic studies say they'll be 30% in 20 years. At some point, you are creating a time bomb within Israel. Forget about issues of apartheid, where you have 30 or 35% of the population that is increasingly made to feel dispossessed or feels dispossessed. And I leave it to you to tell me, how you avert that dynamic.
You are right, and therefore the majority of the Israelis, including very many people who supported the right-wing position, have changed their mind and moved from Likud to Kadima, and others who are not members or supporters of any party are advocating today two-state solution. But if they will listen more to frequent attacks like the one that we just heard from our colleague, there will be more Israelis who will move to the right. Because we cannot be carried away with his rhetoric for another 40 years. I'll take only one accusation that we had out of 12 or 14. We heard that no Israeli prime minister was willing to divide Jerusalem. Yes. 9 years ago, Prime Minister Barak sat down in Camp David and was willing to divide Jerusalem. The entire plan that Israel put forward in Camp David was a compromise. So I think that this rhetoric won't get us anywhere. Besides, I heard that Israel has apartheid for 60 years. Now, we're not talking anymore about the West Bank, we're talking about Israel itself. And by the way, the PLO was created before '67, before Israel occupied the West Bank. So really, this rhetoric would not lead us forward. What we have to do is to see the weakness of the Palestinian society that cannot give support to their leaders, to the Palestinian Authority. And because of the 8 years of the Intifada that started with the failure of the peace process, and the attacks both from Lebanon, which we withdrew unilaterally and with the consent of the entire world, etc., Israelis moved to the right. After all, what other society in the world is being threatened by a president who is building up a nuclear armament that he wants to wipe out that society or this state from the world? So you have to take the Israeli-Palestinian conflict in a more balanced way and not in the rhetoric that we just heard.
Let me ask you, Mustafa Barghouti, about Gaza in particular, because one of the arguments made is that this election, the Israelis moved right because of the violence in Gaza, because of Hamas, and in particular, Lieberman did well because there was a feeling that Israeli Arabs had dual loyalties on the issue, were in some sense pro the Palestinians in Gaza. How do you react to that?
Well, first of all, let me say I don't know why, and I find this dialogue quite useful, but I don't know why the Israeli colleagues feel offended by me saying that we want to be free, by me asking for the very basic right of Palestinians freedom, like everybody else, to be free of occupation. Absolutely. What's wrong with saying we don't want apartheid? I'm not offending them. I'm saying that we have to be free because them oppressing us has corrupted the Israeli society. It is true that Rabin was ready to separate Jerusalem into two pieces, but that's why he was assassinated by an Israeli, not by a Palestinian.
I'm talking about Barak.
Let me finish, sir. And Barak himself did not say he's ready to leave East Jerusalem. He said he will allow Palestinians to have some neighborhoods in Jerusalem, but not the old city of Jerusalem. It is very clear, and you can go back to the documents.
We have to talk about Gaza because that has the impact on the election.
On the issue of Gaza, I've just been in Gaza. I went to Gaza through Egypt because they wouldn't allow me to go to Gaza through Israel. A trip that would usually take an hour and a half, I had to take 2 days to get there, but I went there. What I saw is terrible devastation. 1,350 people were killed, mostly civilians, including 410 children. What I have seen is 5,300 people injured, mostly civilians. A devastation that destroyed thousands of houses. And what shocked me most is why the Israeli army, on their way out of Gaza, destroyed the whole private sector of Gaza. 351 factories. Hamas is a result of no solution. Of course, I might not agree with many things they are doing. As I said, I think that nonviolence is our approach. But at the end of the day, one has to ask the very simple question: why do we have this crisis? Why do we have this dilemma? The crisis is there because one people are occupying the others. I understand the psychological aspect, and I respect the Jewish history, and I know that people who have suffered a long time in their history, like Jewish people, in the pogroms in Russia or in the Holocaust of the Second World War, find great difficulty accept the fact that in this particular conflict, they are the oppressors. And they are the ones who are oppressing another people. And they are the ones who are creating an apartheid system.
The facts are well known. We are beyond that stage. And I'm very, very sorry that today we went back into these accusations, which really do not bring us forward in understanding each other.
All right, we have to leave it at that. I think it's worth saying that there were accusations on both sides. We're not going to solve all of it. Please hold your email. We will return to this subject again for sure, and we'll probably do it with many of the same people. So thank you all, and we will be right back.
Thank you.
Thank you.